Hello everyone, and welcome back to Cooking with Suzanne. I'm actually just getting ready to make a salad, a tomato salad with some lovely ingredients, very similar to our last video where I made a nice thick slice of ciabatta with some roasted onions and tomatoes and balsamic vinegar and olive oil. I thought it was delicious. We had it again the next night. Absolutely delicious and so easy to make. Well, this is a cold salad. Nothing is cooked here. And it is also very delicious and very similar ingredients. So the first thing we have to start with are our tomatoes. I have 1 pound, and I got the Compari tomatoes in the supermarket because they're really a very nice size. They're fairly small. And all I'm going to do is quarter them. So this will be enough for, I'm going to say for 4 people, especially if you're going to serve it in a buffet or if you're going to serve it with some grilled fish or a steak, a piece of chicken. This is plenty for 4 people here. So 1 pound of tomatoes. Now you could also mix it up, especially in the summertime when there's lots of choices, a lot of beautiful tomatoes and you're growing your own. You could use beefsteak tomatoes and all types of heirloom tomatoes. I have here just regular red tomatoes, and I do have a few cherry tomatoes. You could use some cherry tomatoes in this salad. So here is my 1 pound of tomatoes, and I have a platter here. So I'm just going to set them on this platter. And then we can talk about our dressing. I'll turn everything over because we'll season this with a little bit of kosher salt and pepper. As I always say in all my videos, I still love to use diamond kosher salt, but if you're using Morton's, please be careful. It is twice as strong. So I have a little bit of diamond kosher salt, and I'm just going to season high. You want to be able to see the salt sit on the tomatoes, and you don't want to over salt it, but you want to make sure you have enough. So I would say for that 1 pound, there's probably less than a half a teaspoon. And I'll put some fresh black pepper. And now let's talk about the rest of our ingredients. I have here 1 large clove of garlic. And if you're going to put garlic in your dressing, I like it to be super fine. So I'm using a fine grater, and I'm just going to grate the 1 clove of garlic into my bowl, where I'm going to add some vinegar to it. So see, it's super fine, which is what you want. I'm just going to wipe it right into our bowl. And to that, I have the rest of the red onion. I used a half a red onion for the video I just made. So this is about a half of a red onion, and I sliced it very thinly. And I also quartered the onions. So the pieces are not huge. You see, they're nice small pieces. I don't like when you get a really thick piece of red onion, but this is lovely. This is a nice size. So let's put a good amount. This is about a half an onion. I'm probably only going to use about half here. There we go. So let's get that in. If we need to add a little more on the top, we can certainly use it. And we're going to use, I was very lucky in receiving this wonderful balsamic vinegar and olive oil. This olive oil is from Sicily, and this balsamic vinegar is also from Italy, and it's wonderful. So when you're making a salad like this, this is when you want to use your best products because you're going to taste it. It's not being cooked. So this is when you want to use a really good product. If you have one, this is the time to use it. So you could use balsamic. If you're not a balsamic fan, you can use red wine vinegar, sherry vinegar. Whatever you really like to use normally in your dressings, go ahead and use it. You can use white balsamic, which is not as intense as this. So whatever you really enjoy. I'm going to put 1 tablespoon of this beautiful balsamic vinegar. And by the way, when you get gifts like this, don't wait and just keep it in your cupboard. You want to use it right away. This is the time to be using it. So let me season it with a little bit of kosher salt and some black pepper. And it's nice if you can let this sit for a little while. I would say 5 minutes or so. We're going to mix the vinegar with the garlic and the onions. That looks great. I think we need another tablespoon. So let's use 2 tablespoons. I don't think this will be enough for all of our tomatoes, 1 pound of tomatoes. So let's put in 2 tablespoons. So here is my extra virgin olive oil. And we'll start with a couple of tablespoons and see how that works. If we need to add a little bit more, we can add a little bit more. It's so green. This is beautiful oil. Oh my goodness. Absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to just stir in 2 tablespoons to start. If we have to add more, we can. And all of this is going to go over the top of the tomatoes. I want to taste it at this point because I want to make sure that the oil and vinegar is well balanced. So I'm just going to taste the oil and vinegar. Oh, that's really wonderful. Okay, let's let that sit. I don't think I'm going to put in any more oil. I think that's enough. And let's talk about a few more ingredients that will make this very interesting. Okay, I do have some Kalamata olives, just like I did in the last video. I love them. I cut them in half. I didn't quarter them. I cut them in half. So I'm just going to go around and set right in between our tomato wedges. And there's about 12. I did a dozen for a pound of tomatoes. I think that will be more than enough. As far as fresh herbs go, I think fresh oregano or fresh basil would be great. I don't have any, but if I did, I would certainly be putting it in this salad. But that's okay, it's still going to be delicious. So there's our olives. Another ingredient that I would love to use here would be some fresh chopped chives, which I don't have any more of. So I'm going to use some scallion. And scallion is a good substitute for chives. They're both in the onion family. So I'm just going to sprinkle a few chopped scallions just over the top of the tomatoes, like so. And capers. I love capers. They're briny, salty, add a nice flavor. I have a tablespoon here. And I didn't even chop them. I'm just keeping them whole. These are the very, very tiny ones. If you have the larger capers, I would strongly recommend you chopping them. But these are so tiny. They look great just the way they are. I still have a little bit of feta cheese, and I think this will be wonderful with fish if you're grilling salmon, or even if you're grilling a steak. This would be a wonderful dish to serve with a grilled steak. So we have some cheese, which I will be using. And my last ingredient is an avocado, which, as you know, first of all, this is a very Mediterranean dish, very healthy, and lots of great benefits. And the avocado is going to really elevate this dish, bring a lot of nice richness to it. So we're going to do that last. I'm going to go in and take some of this beautiful oil and vinegar and just drizzle it over the tomatoes. And you can let that macerate for a little bit. It's going to give the tomatoes some fabulous flavor. I will say, if I was not using such a good balsamic vinegar like this, I would probably, with either a red wine vinegar or a very inexpensive balsamic, I would add a little sugar, sugar or honey. You definitely want to soften that sharpness up, and just a little bit, half teaspoon, plenty. Okay, now we can take our onions and let's just strewn them over the top of the tomatoes. There we go. And as you can see, they're super, super thin. I really like the onions to be super thin. If you happen to have one of those inexpensive Japanese mandolins, this would be the time to definitely use it. And see, it doesn't really take, even a quarter of a small onion is more than enough here. Okay, I think that is plenty. And I am going to use it all. And also the vinegar, if you let it sit with the salt and the garlic, it helps to soften the taste of the onion as well. The last two ingredients is the avocado, which I will show you. I mean, everyone probably has their way of doing it. I just cut it right down the center, open it up. Okay, we have a beautiful avocado here. And just take a knife to remove the pit. Okay. And then I usually use a spoon this size, so let me just rinse it. And I go in and just scoop the avocado right out. There we go. Do this one. You can either slice it or you could dice it. I'm just going to slice it here, and I will fan it, the slices, right down the center of our tomato salad. This looks so good, and it's really good for you, along with it being absolutely delicious. And I have some little pieces, so I'm going to go around with some of the little pieces. 1 avocado for 1 pound of tomatoes is more than enough. A nice way to incorporate the cheese into this salad, if you had a nice chunk of feta cheese, you could grate this and it would look like snow on the top of your salad. I don't have a big piece, so this is already all cut up that I cut. So I'm going to just scatter some of the feta. Tell me this doesn't look delicious. I think this looks lovely. Let's first season and pepper the avocado. And I think in this place here, I'm going to use the Maldon Sea Salt right over the avocado instead of the kosher. That's a finishing salt, that'll be perfect. You can either use the rest of this dressing, the vinegar and the oil, or you can just use straight up extra virgin olive oil. This dressing is too delicious not to use. So now I'm just going to go around the plate and drizzle some of this wonderful oil and vinegar right over the top. Now I did 2 tablespoons of vinegar to 2 tablespoons of this extra virgin olive oil. If that's too much vinegar, depending on the type of vinegar you're using, and you need to add more oil, by all means, go ahead and do so. Right over the top, I do have some of these cherry tomatoes that we can set right on top, because the avocado kind of covers all of it. So we can, that's perfect. There we go. And I will just take a touch of the dressing over each of the tomatoes. There we go. Okay, let's bring this over to show you. I don't think this took but 5-7 minutes, and you have a wonderful side dish to go with any protein that you're thinking of having. This is, and it's great by itself, just like this with a nice toasted piece of bread, French bread, Italian bread, you'd be very happy. Here we go. Here is our, whoop, can you see that? I'm trying to straighten it out. There's our salad. Okay, so hopefully this inspires you to eat healthy, to get the freshest ingredients you can, to have a very happy and healthy 2025. Thanks very much, everyone. See you again soon. Bye now.